5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Real people, real issues, real life. Talk Recovery Radio. Live from the heart of the downtown east side, it's Talk Recovery Radio with Giuseppe Ganci and Darren Gaylor on Vancouver's Co-op Radio, CFRO 100.5 FM. From the streets to the studio, bringing you addiction recovery stories from real people with lived experience and real experts on today's issues. Tune in live every Thursday, noon to 1. Powered by New West Recovery. Real people, real issues, real life. Talk Recovery Radio.
Good afternoon, Vancouver. Hello, you're listening to Talk Recovery Radio. My name is Giuseppe Ganci, and this is my co-host here with us, Mr. Darren Gaylor. Hi, Darren.
Yeah. Welcome to the show, Talk Recovery, 100.5 FM CFRO, Co-op Radio. Sweet to be back on the Zoom today.
Yeah, on Zoom this week, and 8 years of shows, hundreds of guests, thousands of listeners. Pretty soon we're going to be like thousands of guests. I mean, it's been 8 years. So today we got an awesome show planned for you with lots of guests out there. Full. Yeah, definitely it's going to be a busy show. And you got some comments from our show last week. And, we just started the show off talking about that. And we had an amazing guest talking about harm reduction. Darren, what did she say that really got us to be inspired about what she was talking about when it came to harm reduction?
Well, I mean, it was that question that we talk about a lot. We ask for professional and insightful experiences on the people's opinions of harm reduction, recovery. It was just a comment about inspiring somebody who's stuck in that cycle, who's perhaps, benefiting from safe supply, in the current situation in their life, and, having a conversation with that individual and asking them, is the point of your life, was your purpose on life to, be living on the street, free needles, free dope, and just staying in there, right? And I mean, that's always been my stance, where in between harm reduction and recovery, we completely lack totally that moment in that conversation of here's some options, what would you see for yourself if you had some choices, where would you be, and yeah, I just appreciated the fact that she didn't take, a stance on either side, which I felt, the same way. But
yeah, what's the bigger picture of all this? What's right. What are we here for? And that was Dr. Donna Marks on our show last week. She's got a book called Exit the Maze. So you can go to her, website.
Or if you're listening to it right now on Co-op Radio, I guess that's
Go to our if you're restreaming talkrecoveryradio.com, and you can iTunes, SoundCloud, everywhere. And if you're watching us on YouTube, click subscribe so you can catch all of our shows when they get updated by Jordan. A special shout out to Jordan, our show coordinator. He always gets us some amazing guests on our show. So we're gonna go right into Talk Recovery Radio. Excuse me. And Darren, who do we get to talk recovery with today? And I'm admitting a lot of people into this show. So while I do that, who are we talking recovery with?
We're talking recovery with the team today. We got Mike, Jay, Brooke, TJ, the team of Empowered to Recover. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Talk Recovery, guys. It says here, their mission is simple: to show that abstinent-based recovery is possible and should be accessible and supported by our governments. I mean, preaching to the choir. I don't know how many times we've had this conversation and moaned about the our governments their big push on harm reduction. And then, you know, that last comment of our British Columbia doctor, Bonnie Henry, that opiate addicts cannot recover in an abstinent-based.
And should not. Don't forget that face. Should not. Yeah.
Right.
It's dangerous to stop using drugs is her message.
Them's fighting words.
Yeah, you know, before we get into everybody's story, a very common thing that will happen, you know, is that's not true. Like, recovery is supported in Canada. And so here's a group of people that are going to tell you, like, hey, this is how we feel. So if you're starting to get heated up to be like, oh, recovery is supported, we got news for you. It's actually not. And this is our lived experience. And so just honor these stories and appreciate and just understand that maybe your idea of the addiction recovery climate is not actually, you know, 100% accurate, because, you know, these are our stories. And so I want to welcome everybody to the show. So Darren, go ahead, take over.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, this is a Empower to Recover, a group, obviously, of individuals, you know, with their own personal experience and you know, delving into their own personal lives and businesses and you know, of recovery, you know, inspired people that want to make a change. You guys are touring Canada to bring awareness to the government policies on recovery. And I like this, giving treatment centers more funding for abstinent-based programs, easier access to treatment for women and single parents with children. And it says, give everyone access to a recovery coach if they can afford it or not. Like, how are you guys doing this? Who wants to head on with that?
Yeah, I'll crack it out. My name's Jay. I think everybody knows me, and if you don't know me, you should take the earplugs out because I'm a loud guy. So, you know, I have my own program too. It's Hype Recovery Coaching. It's abstinent-based. I did do AA and NA in the beginning. I jumped out of the box because I wanted to learn more about myself. And it's okay to say I can go recover in other places. And the problem is people are getting the idea that you can't recover in different places. So that's not true. Just like Giuseppe said, it's not, you can go get recovery in all kinds of different places. So 2011, I started building this program right here, which is Hype Recovery Coaching. And the journey to 30 and the journey to 90, and we'll have a 180. We also have a journey to the junior journey for teens, which the ladies are working on right now, because teenagers need help as well. That's why it's called Empower to Recover. Everybody is recovering from something. It doesn't matter who you are, you're recovering from something. So as I met beautiful Brooke in the corner there, and you know, she helped me make the reality and the dream that I had for a very long time. I've been clean and sober for 5,200 plus days. So I've been at this game a long time. The game of breaking silence and showing people they're not alone and that you can recover is the name of the game, and motivationally speaking, and never shutting up about this. Because that's important. So this other massive dream I had was Empower to Recover, and we started working on this like eight weeks ago, something like that. And it was just me and this other guy. And then I brought Brooke in because Brooke helped me make Hype Recovery Coaching. And Hype Recovery Coaching has been hashtagged 1.1 million times, been alive for 6.5 months, helped 24 people come through the program, you know, which is amazing. But on an abstinent-based program, I can't get funding for any of this. I'm funding this whole entire thing on my own dollar. I'm funding this whole entire thing out of my own back pocket with a guy that went through a pandemic and lost his food processing business that I lost $2 million during the pandemic and then flipped to mental health. So I'm still funding this. Now, I'm not saying there isn't a place for harm reduction, and there is a place for that, but there's also a place for this. There's also a place for abstinent-based programs. There's also a place for places like TJ that I love to death that came on board and is collaborating with Hype Recovery Coaching. The books are in his center, helping his people. We need to be equally looked at as a place that helps people get into long-term recovery. I look at it as long-term recovery, not clean or sober. That's how I look at it. And I said, Kay, I got to build this team, and we got to go. Our focus is Vancouver. We have picked 9 different places. That's a bigger vision. We have brought in the USA with Recovery Army Mike and some other people that are from the USA, because I'm intertwined we all are intertwined into the recovery world really well. And I said, let's make this one-day event. Let's go show people. Let's bring this Empower to Recover. Let's have vendors. Let's have us all come together and show that abstinent-based programs work.
So everyone here is a recovery coach?
I'm a recovery coach. TJ is a recovery coach. Brooke's a recovery coach.
Okay.
The other 2 are doing what
I'm a certified health and lifestyle coach.
Nice. And you're all recovery advocates?
Yeah.
So isn't it insane that we have to have recovery advocates? I mean, I don't know of any cancer remission advocates. Like, the goal of cancer is remission. Like, there's no advocacy needed to help find a cure for cancer. It's a volunteer thing you do, but it's not like a political thing that you need to advocate for. So I want to get to that piece. Why, and if someone wants to take that on, okay, we understand that harm reduction gets a loud voice in our government. Why do you personally feel that you need to be a recovery advocate? Why don't you just go to meetings, get clean, sober, recover? So who wants to take that on? Why are you doing this?
Brooke, go hit it up, Brooke.
Well, personally, I know for me, it has a really personal touch. I lost my little brother to addiction in 2020, and he was like a son to me. I was 10 years older and I took care of him. And, one thing he said to me was, I'm going to sober up when I'm 29 like you. And he only made it to 23.
Wow.
And I just, I got really passionate about sharing the fact that this life is possible, that you don't have to suffer, that you don't have to stay stuck where you're at. And not only is it possible to get off drugs and alcohol, but in recovery, when you're working on yourself, when you're, learning about yourself, learning about your triggers, learning about why you're responding to things the way you're responding, getting counseling, getting coaching, getting, a 12-step program, whatever it is, when you're working on yourself, the life that you get is so beyond what you think is possible for yourself. The confidence that you get, the things I've been given are unbelievable. And I would do absolutely freaking anything to give my brother that chance. And, I was fortunate enough to see him before they took him away. I got to my mom's house in time. And the first thing I did was to pray for the God that I didn't understand to just wake him up. I'm like, you can do miracles. Please make this happen. And when that was clear, it wasn't going to happen, I prayed that his story was going to save lives. And it's not just the person who overdoses or passes away that is the number that they talk about of our overdose deaths. That my brother is one of those numbers, but the number of people affected by the fact that he's not on this planet anymore is massive. All of those numbers that we talk about have families attached to them. There's people struggling and suffering that don't know there's an option. And so we're out here saying there's an option. Harm reduction isn't the only way. It is absolutely necessary, I think, in order to do something in this province. But I feel especially with what Bonnie Henry said, it invalidates the recovery that I have, saying that it's not possible to have an abstinent-based recovery. It makes me feel well, I'm possible. I'm here. All my friends that I know that have gone this route are possible. And we want to give a voice to that.
So just so everybody knows, if you're just tuning in, Bonnie Henry, she's the chief medical officer for the province of BC, because our show's heard by people in other provinces too. So she's the chief medical officer. A couple weeks ago, there was an article in the news. Bonnie Henry quoted saying that opiate users cannot recover, should not recover. They need to be on medications and stopping using. If you read it, that's the message. And then, a couple of people got mad and wrote some letters, and it was about 3,000 people have written letters. But there's no, then there was also the harm reduction world that started attacking the comments on Facebook, saying that's not what she means, and dead people don't recover, and it's kind of you're creating a two-tiered healthcare. Like, do you not understand what this says? It's in quotes. Anyway, she has not replied. She's not retracted. She's not even done anything. So that's what this is, fueled this interview too. Like, that's what this is about. It's like when you say that, oh, recovery is appreciated in Canada, it actually isn't. And there is one province, Alberta, that we're going to talk about at the end of the show. I want to say some stuff there. TJ, how would what you know now today, how would a recovery coach have helped you in your path to where you're at today? And if you can tell a little bit of your story too.
Yeah. Okay. So first off, thanks so much for having me on here. Really appreciate it. If I had access to a recovery coach without having to worry about the cost, basically someone that would just believe in me and hear my story and empower me to, do a little bit better when I'm down and out, they would give me the tools, show me that I have the tools within me and shine a light, and then walk beside me to bring me wherever I need to go. Recovery coaches meet people where they are at, wherever they are in their journey, and a little bit about me. Growing up on the Sunshine Coast, I left to Alberta. I was gone for about 15 years. I just moved back to a small little town, and I couldn't believe the difference here. Friends I went to high school with are now majorly entrenched in addiction. And one of the reasons I had 4 of my close friends overdose and die in 1 week. The last 10 years, I've probably lost about 30 friends to this disease. And I knew that I needed to do something. So, I started getting the process rolling with the assisted living application, having a place, starting to do the renovations, and it was nothing but one roadblock after another. There's 2 harm reduction facilities on the Sunshine Coast that are operating, which, harm reduction, does it save lives? Yes. Is there a place for it? Yes. The tail end of the crime and the aftermath of that we don't even see, there's a huge part of it. And now I'm just trying to open up a small little facility for people to recover abstinence-based, and I'm facing all these challenges. We looked at getting a farm, 60-acre farm, 3,000 square foot house, whole therapeutic community proposal. We put it to the town, they shut it down. So at that point, I actually came out to the recovery summit in Alberta and saw the revolutionary stuff that province is doing to, give a voice to recovery. And that re-inspired me when I came back to BC. I just said, you know what, I'm going to open. Now my facility is open. I have 5 beds for men. We've been open for a month and a half. I got a 15-person wait list. Even though we are technically not allowed to operate, we are operating. The guys are thriving, and, it's a beautiful thing to see. That is part of the reason why, I've joined this team. I'm very passionate about it. There's tons of other places that need this type of facility, and, the funding is just not there. We have to get creative ways to, 6 guys eat almost $3,000 worth a month in food, never mind everything else. The government's giving $45 a day. You're supposed to house, clothes, feed, educate, transport. It's just, it's absolutely impossible.
Get insurance, pay the bills, pay the hydro, have a pharmacy on site. Like, it's absolutely insane. Darren, I'm going to move it over to you, but I just want to tell everybody, a friend of mine just left from Mexico this morning. He put his dog in doggy daycare for a week. That doggy daycare gets more money per day than TJ or Last Door, which is behind this show, gets to provide addiction treatment services for people. So I just, this is real stuff. The doggy daycare makes more money, and he's got to provide the food for the dog. We have to cook food. So Darren, I'm sure you're burning at some questions. I'll let you take over.
Well, let's hear from Mike. What's your story? What's your background, and where do you sit on this team?
You're on mute.
You're on mute.
Sorry about that. Yeah, okay, my bad. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, my name is Mike Gleam. I am definitely a person in long-term recovery. And man, when I hear a statement like that a doctor made, it doesn't make me mad. But that's a lot of the reason why I do what I do, is to prove them exactly wrong. I am 100% living proof that an opiate addict can recover, and not just survive, but thrive, and do things that are way beyond my wildest dreams I've ever thought I could accomplish. For me, so I'm from the States down the US. I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So, you know, I spent over 7 years of my life homeless on the streets there. You know, if you don't know of Kensington, Philadelphia, feel free to YouTube it. It's pretty much the biggest open drug market there is in the States, if not the world. So I spent over 7 years homeless down there, over 20 years of substance abuse, addiction, and alcoholism, many years in jails, institutions, you name it, suicide attempts, multiple overdoses, everything like that. I should not be sitting here today, for sure. You know, I kind of had an awakening back in 2014 and started my real road to recovery, and discovery, I should say, to begin with, when I woke up as John Doe in the ICU. I was someone attempted to take my life in Philadelphia, and tried to kill me with a hammer and actually shattered my skull. I was rushed into brain surgery, had this all left side of my head was replaced with titanium, closed with 30 staples. And I woke up as John Doe. You know, I look down to see tubes and IVs coming out of me, and I don't even know the body I'm inhabiting, let alone the person I see in the mirror. I don't even know who I am. With that being said, that was my turning point there. And enough was finally enough. I threw up the white flag. And so, you know, since then, you know, it was a year of recovery. I had to relearn how to walk, talk, and write. You know, was able to do that. I busted my butt to do that, and got to the point where, you know, I was able to make things happen in my life. And I knew I was finally given a purpose that's been there all along. You know, I was just had the clear tunnel vision of what that was going to be, and what was set before me. And I followed that road and really held on to faith and just knew that anything was truly possible. You know, the word itself says I'm possible. So I can completely disagree with everything that was wrote by that doctor. You know, I think this is a group of just enormously the word powerful is an understatement of the group of people that are in here today, of just living proof, through living a lived existence, you know, and proof that, you know, this does work, and this does work. So I got to a point finally, my wife and I actually turned around and we turned around and started a nonprofit organization called Recovery Army Outreach, based out of Philadelphia. And we go back to Kensington now. I go back to the place that broke me, should have took my life, and we give back. You know, we be of service. We're of service as much as we possibly can be. This is 7 days a week, 365 for me. This is a way of life. It literally everything I do when it comes to work, I work for treatment as well. But outside of there, you know, it's 80, 90, 100 hours a week, you know, of specifically mental health and recovery and addiction, and just helping other people get to where they need to get and hopefully reach their goals and dreams. Because I know if I did it, literally anybody can do it, literally. And that's when it comes to recovery coaching, things like that. People that might not find a home in a 12-step program or anything like that, it's that individualized care that you can get from one person that can empathize, has been in that spot, and has found a way out to be able to help them carry them through to that spot. You know, which is just super valuable. It's literally unparalleled, the therapeutic value to that, literally unparalleled. It's so powerful. So we started a nonprofit. You know, we go down and we give hot meals and clothing. We bring barbers down and help the homeless. There's a very large homeless community down there, and most are addicted. But we also try to do something different and offer resources. So we try to, you know, I can sit with someone and empathize with them and say, I've been in that spot. I've done exactly what you're doing right now, but there is a way out. You know, God willing, you know, we've been successful. We've been able to get people off the streets and into treatment and get them on the road to recovery, and you know, the things that they hope to do. So we've been successful with that. And you know, and then I just, you know, continuously just set myself out for bigger things, where this year I finally became a published author, you know, and Brooke helped with that as well, which she's absolutely amazing, what she does too. So yeah, I'm a recovery author as well. My story and my testimony and some inspiration and motivation in there, but it's also educational and informative, because, you know, a lot of times you'll hear that newcomers are the most important places, like in rooms of fellowships and stuff like that. But it's also about the youth. Like, that's really not talked about enough. And to me, you know, if we can prevent the number of newcomers that even have to go through anything like we did, the better off we are, you know.
Yeah,
And
that's something we talk about on the show all the time, is we're
Yeah.
as a US and Canada, we're both just as guilty. There's no prevention. There's that whole conversation where Suboxone and methadone and now Safe Supply always got sold as the system of use for people that are entrenched and like on the streets entrenched, and people that are, you know, have no opportunity to access recovery services. Like that's how this all got sold. And it's all like, that's a great idea. You know, obviously if somebody's been to 30 treatment centers, you know, and it's not working, then, you know, let's keep them alive. Let's give them safe supply or methadone or Suboxone. But we're in the industry. We know what happens. So Last Story's got a youth program for 14-year-old, 13-year-old kids. They're coming in on pharmanets that are 15 pages long. And if you don't know what a pharmanet is, that's your medication record. They never used to be that long. So we're giving the prescription that's meant for and sold to the general public for the people you see in Kensington or the downtown east side, but really it's carte blanche everybody. And that's why we're scared of what Bonnie Henry said, because it's like, whoa, wait a minute, what's a woman, a mom who has no understanding of this world, goes to their doctor with their 17-year-old kid, and this doctor is trained to just give out safe supply, because that's really what that article is about. That mom's going to trust the doctor because that's what the doctor said. There's no training, because Bonnie Henry said it in the news article, that recovery is not possible. So there's no training about recovery. So the one piece that you said there, Mike, that's really important is, and TJ, about, you know, meeting people where they're at, but it's also carrying them forward. And that conversation of, Mike, what you just said is like, there's a way out. We can't lose that. We can't lose that narrative, and we're losing that narrative. And that's what recovery coaching is all about. It's like, hey, I'll meet you where they're at. I'll support you and help you, but there's always a way out of this. You know, it's not, we shouldn't be doing palliative care for 20-year-olds because they use some heroin. Like it's just like, yeah, we can't stop as a society saying, oh, you know what, once an addict, always an addict, here's your meds. I mean, that's, you know, the literature even says, like, the lie is dead. I go back to that fellowship. I went to Philadelphia once. I was able to go to the NA convention, the World Convention. There was
amazing.
40,000 people there at the convention center, and that is the best market I have ever been to across the street. I was like, couldn't even believe it. Like, that's a sandwich. So anyway, that's on a side topic. You brought some memories back. Life coaching, recovery coaching. Alex, we want to bring you in here. I mean, everybody thinks, you know, addiction is, you know, the paper bag on the bench, or like I'm shooting needles, you know, all that kind of stuff. But really, if you have an opportunity to work with somebody early, like we can solve a lot of this. So with the people that you see in your practice, you know, where I want to talk a little bit about denial, if I may, with you. Like, sorry for throwing that topic at you, but people that come to you, is there that idea like, oh, my problem ain't that big, I just need a little bit of recovery coaching, I don't really need, you know, inpatient and all that kind of stuff? What are your thoughts on all that? And what's stopping people from understanding, I need help?
I think, just if I go back to my own personal experience, you know, and you hit on the denial piece so well, because I was in denial for so long, because I had that disease of perception, because I was a high-ranking public service employee. You know, I wasn't a criminal like the rest of you. Meanwhile, I'm committing white-collar crime and using taxpayer funds to fund my habits by the end, you know. That kept me in my denial for so long, because I was up here and everybody else was down there. And until I made that admonition to self on April 22nd, 2017, and finally came to the realization and admitted to myself that I was just a junkie and an alcoholic like the rest of them. Like, that was the greatest revelation of all time. But my thinking was so warped, you know. I did not think, I was not like you guys. There was no way, you know. Meanwhile, I'm near homelessness. I'm working for a deputy minister, you know, like my story just didn't match anymore, you know. And so, you know, like, I break that stigma, you know, like, I'm a single mother, I'm a career woman, and I am an addict and an alcoholic, you know, in recovery today, thank God. But you know, like, there are so many stigmas associated to it, right? Like, we don't have jobs, we're not parents, we don't have families, we don't have careers. Well, I'm here to tell you differently, because I had all that, you know, until I lost it all and I regained it all again. But
Would you say that you also suffered from like the stigma of recovery? Like how did, so you personally, I don't know if with a sponsor or counselor or a therapist, you have your revelation, but then there's like, how does, you know, a single mom, you know, who has a high profile career that may be even bigger, higher profile in the future. How do you end up being that? Because I know a lot of people that won't be on a Zoom call or a radio show saying, "Hey, I'm a junkie and an alcoholic." You know, that whole, and it's not because of their using. Like you're in recovery since 2017. How did you get to a place where you could be a person recovering out loud?
I think I've just always been a vocal person. I was so, you know, I wasn't hiding my addiction from anybody, so I'm definitely not going to hide my recovery from anybody, you know. I am a very vocal person. My background is in communications anyways. So, you know, I didn't have any qualms about it. And I remember, you know, because I had gotten fired from the federal government by the end of my using and drinking career. I was out of a career, you know, everything caught up to me. But now I'm back. But, you know, I think that openness and that transparency and recovering out loud and showing my journey, you know, is what got me back into the federal government today, better than ever. But, you know, I remember my mother being like, I cannot believe you're on social media saying that you're an addict and an alcoholic. You'll never get a job again. Da, 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 da. You know, like she had that preconceived notion and she had that stigma. And I was like, but I'm out here saving lives, you know, showing people that, you know, it could be your neighbor, it could be your sister, it could be your brother, it could be the grocery store clerk, it could be a high-ranking public service, it can be anybody, you know. Addiction does not discriminate. It doesn't care what color you are, what side of the tracks you're from, what your social status is, what your profession is, what your religion is. It's an equal opportunity destroyer. So that's what I'm hearing, right?
I've got a bit of a public service announcement, everybody that's listening or watching. So if you just heard what Alex just said there, I've been around for probably about 16 years and paying attention probably for 12 of those years. And I have never met somebody who has gotten honest about their addiction, gotten honest about their recovery, and lost their life, career, partner, relationships, and status. I've never met anyone. Like honestly, like it's just like everyone I know that's done that has actually become amazing, and they become union reps and the person the company goes to and leaders of committees and like just, you know, the person at the dinner table that everybody's just in awe of. But I know so many people that call our treatment center and it's like, oh, I can't tell my work and I can't do this and I can't let people know. Like those are the people that have died, have disappeared, have lost their jobs, because addiction is not something we want normalized in our life. Like you're not the only one that stole money, Alex. Like I don't know how many of you guys have, but like we've all done stuff, you know, in our using days. And I just, that's the message we need. That message, don't use alone. We need that message, you know, find your nearest harm reduction site. But there is no message like, hey, recovery is possible and you can, and this is okay, and this, like there isn't that message. It's this message. Like I don't see any billboards that say, hey, recovery is possible, you can do this. Like I don't see any of those messages. And so I'm going to go to your Empowered to Recover. I'm assuming that that's part of what you want, is like, hey, everybody, you know, yes, use consumption sites, yes, you know, talk about harm reduction, but hey, there's another billboard and it's fucking bright. I shouldn't swear on the radio, sorry. So I guess I'm really passionate about this too, because I'm just like, where is that billboard, you know? So what's going to happen at this Empowered to Recover? How do people get involved? You know, what is it?
So, like we said, our vision is 9. We have picked 9 different places, but we are focusing on Vancouver. That is where the first event is. It's September 24th. We want to do it on, so we have picked a date. So now it is really crunch time for us. You know, I like to.
So when you say like, is it at a hall? Is it at?
Well, it's going to be a one-day event at a venue where we're going to have a bunch of vendors there. So there's going to be opportunity for vendors to come in, from the healing, the holistic, to the smudging, to the nutrition, because nutrition is a seriously important thing too in recovery, right? Rehabilitating from nutrition. We're also going to have a pitch your recovery business, which we're going to roll out here in the next couple of weeks, which I'm really excited about, because I'm an entrepreneur in recovery, and a lot of us that are in recovery are smart. Oh, I almost swore too. Smart cats. And usually I swear. I caught myself. I'm proud of myself.
There you go. There you go.
And anyways, so we're gonna have a pitch your recovery business to give the opportunity for people that have recovery businesses ideas to go through the Empower to Recover Den, and we're going to pick a business, and we're going to give them a $5,000 startup, which is going to go through Brooke and Sober Biz Babe to help them get their business off the ground, because it's important to me as an entrepreneur to give back to that community. It was so hard for me to get my own business going when I first got into recovery. I really got looked at bad. Nobody would give me a chance. You're a dirty person. You did this, you did that. And yet, we're the smartest people, and we got the grind to make it happen, right? So we're also going to have a pitch your recovery singer or band. So we want to get a singer or a band that's in recovery or sings about recovery to break out, to be at the event. And we also want to do a pitch your recovery speaker. So somebody that hasn't done any motivational speaking or talk about their story, to give them the chance to have the stage, to let their voice go, to tell their story, to tell their truth behind how they're getting abstinent-based program, right? And then it's driven this whole entire movement, my whole entire life, my whole entire existence of this 14 plus years, and busting my ass at this recovery and making it loud has been abstinent based. And it's completely driven by lived experience, people with lived experience stories that can relate with people. And, as a coach, and I became a coach like 6 months ago, and when we launched Type Recovery Coaching. And it's true, you get to their level, right? I get on a discovery call and I discover where they're at, where they're going, and where they want to be. And I help them get there through our programs and sessions. And a lot of people come to us, like 475 discovery calls in 6 months. That's a lot of people reaching out to a place that just launched. Yes, it's been here for 11 years, but it's only been out there for the world for the last 6.5 months. That tells me people are looking, people need something different. The wait lists are long, the counselor lists are long, the therapist. Why don't us recovery coaches get the same opportunities to help people? Why don't we? Why is it that I got turned down from a job as a counselor 3 times when I got more lived experience? I'm not saying the people that don't go to school have it, but I have the experience of a guy on the ground with a needle hanging out of my arm. The person at school doesn't, right? So I feel that people in Canada, not just BC, but all of Canada and the world, should have access to recovery coaches. They should have access to recovery coaches if they can afford it or if they can't afford it. Like I pay my own stuff right now, so I pay for it all, right? So yes, sir.
I mean, that's been the question, like, why not? And the pessimist in me, can sort of like read through the lines and see the money in the pockets and the lobbying and the political agendas. And, have you had that sit down with any government official or anybody with some power that has actually answered that question? And if not, like, what's your opinion on that? Like,
so, I mean, I have gone to local MP. Like, we are working right now on getting into the local jail here to bring recovery coaching, because the individuals inside of prisons need to have rehabilitated and programming. I asked for help in jail and I never got no help. It just continued the cycle. So they're actually open enough, and God bless Lee Smith, who runs the place. She sees in Ashley and I, my wife is Ashley. We're the recovery couple, and we have a TV series also. And they're actually working on letting us go in and coach the individuals, the females and the males, in a prison system, which is exciting. That is exciting. So I have like nonstop gone at my local MP, who's Greg Rickford. So if you're listening to this, Greg Rickford, I hope you take the earplugs out right now, because it's election time for you. So you need to take your earplugs out and start listening. Also, on the other side of Doug Ford, his brother, everybody I'm sure knows Doug Ford. Well, his brother, Rob Ford, fought with addiction. So Doug Ford, what are you doing when your brother fought with addiction, yet you don't want to back it up, and you're taking money away from mental health versus giving money to mental health? Like, I don't know, like, that's the whole thing, right? So for me, it's like nonstop, go at them. Like, I mean, nothing's going to stop me. And as we start building a bigger army, and I really appreciate the fact that you guys see what we see and the direction that we want to go with this, because that's what it's going to take. It's going to take a massive army of people that just share the way we do. We're all lovable, kind, love, compassionate people. That's what we are. Every single one of us here are, and everybody that's in my circle and in my corner, and we all are, right? So give us the chance, because we know how to help people. Truly, we do.
Well, and like you said, you know, you guys are all attached and networking and you know, being swarmed by moms and dads. You know, what do I do with my kids? I mean, the demand is out there. Like, no mom is going, you know, I heard there's a safe supply coming in. I just want to get my, you know, 16-year-old who I just found out tried fentanyl for the, you know, the first time. I want to get him on a safe supply for the rest of his life. Like, you know, so you know, like there can't be that mentality yet. And we may have been, you know, in silence and stigmatized, you know, 10 years ago. And by now, I would assume that somebody in government noticed that people do recover, and people, you know, have these, you know, whether it's treatment centers or recovery coaches business that keep people accountable and bring them into a community of other recovering people, and that abstinence is viable, like, by now. And
you'd think that, but like
so yeah. We're up against like what I seem like deaf ears, you know what I mean? And do we stop? Of course not. Like, we're gonna keep going, and you're gonna keep becoming louder and louder and louder. But will we get frustrated to a point of what? Like, we're not gonna give up.
No, they got to give us, you know, and it's the same, it goes right back to the Ontario Works too, right? So in Ontario, that, I mean, they classify that as welfare. I presented hyper recovery coaching to Henry Wall. I'm sure you're not going to watch this either, but if you are, take your earplugs out right now too, please, buddy. And I presented it to them, and they were, you know, you go to Ontario Works, housing, money, food. Where is, because I'm coming from jail, how do I get help? How do I get help for my problem? And here I present this to them, and they're like, yeah, and a big presentation, all the Ontario Works across Ontario. You have the opportunity to give something to somebody in a tangible way through a lived experience person that's done it. Like, yet now you don't answer my phone, I'll come knock on your door soon.
Like, we're all examples of productive members of society paying taxes. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't cost the government anything anymore. You know, and so I wonder, like how do these examples and experiences and proof go unnoticed or go ignored? Like, I cannot, you know what I mean? Like, I think we need to put one of us into running.
Well, yeah, you know what though, you know, from my experience, I've kind of been a loudmouth for a little while too. We just can do what, so if you're watching and listening, like, what can you do? And my suggestion is just do your best and just keep doing it, because you can go to BC, which is one color, Alberta's one color. Like, there's, you know, we're all under, you know, we're, for the Americans watching, you know, we're all different provinces being reflected in this show right now. And, you know, in BC, if you're in jail, and this is a good friend of mine who finally called and asked for help. Finally, this is got a kid shot in the neck. You know, he's been shot twice. He's like in his 20s. He called finally and says, "Hey, I'm ready for treatment," and we can't even take him. Like, there's so much bureaucracy because he's in jail. He has to have an assessment by a psychiatrist. You know, this is the thing we do in BC. Is like, it's the BCCSU's fault too. Yeah, I'm calling them out. It's like there's the chalkboard, blackboard, whiteboard conference solution to addiction, and then there's real world. And so somebody came up with this great idea. Let's just do assessments on people in jail and get them an appointment, and then we'll fund them $300 a day for treatment. Great. Well, the real world is, so he's in jail. He just got called in again. They don't do an assessment, they schedule an assessment, and because he's got an assessment scheduled, they let him out and he has no housing. They put him in an SRO where the drug dealers, the concierge. And so he's gone again, you know, and I just thought to myself, that's our province's response to the overdose crisis. A kid in his 20s, you know, asking for help to get clean, not like to get, he asked for help. They're like, you know what, we're just gonna let you live in an SRO and you can wait 6 weeks for your appointment at an SRO. So he's gone, you know what I mean? That opportunity's gone. So then you go to Ontario, and so we all have these frustrations. So do you give up? Yeah, there's been days I've been like, you know, forget this, like no one's listening. But you know, with this Bonnie Henry thing, we lit the fire. There it is, people. And then let the world decide what's going to happen. I can't control what's going to happen. I've let go of that piece because it drives you insane. It's like, I did my part, I did my best. And I've learned that through this mutual support groups that I go to anyway, where it's just like, I'm powerless over everything else. I can just do what I can do.
Well, she can't be the person. Like, she's not just confused. Like, it's not that she doesn't know or that nobody.
Well, she's a doctor. She's not
right.
stupid.
Like, she's a smart person. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, that's the thing that we all know, that we might be like fighting a fight against a government that will never support this. You know, so I want to wonder, we must all been connected to somebody that's overdosed and died, right? I'm assuming correctly. And that puts us in a position, like, that makes me have an opinion. You know, whether they had access to treatment, whether they just got out of a treatment center and just had a slip and used, and their tolerance was down, so, you know, dead. You know, to make me look at, they needed safe supply or Suboxone or something to, you know, to have avoided that. Like, there's so many opinions from our own experience, and all are legit, I think. You know, so I wonder, TJ, like, you know, when you're about abstinence, when you say abstinence, that puts maybe some people back, like, well, then that person is so at risk for relapse and possible overdose, you know, first use. Like, how do we respond to that? You know what I mean? Like, how do we show that abstinence isn't just walking out of a treatment center 30 days abstinent and clean, and then just good luck?
I mean, the whole part is building recovery capital. So, you know what I mean? Fitness, nutrition, connection, having things for these people to do, getting them back in the workforce so they're not just thrown in, you know, having the outpatient services. So when you get out of treatment, it's not like, okay, thanks, here you go. Maybe you go back to your family where, you know, there's drinking and drugs within that family. They need to understand about the triggers. The group of friends, you know, we got to build up this capital so that they know that if they go right back to their old group of friends, yeah, their tolerance is down, and that's when, you know, the problem happens. You know, I have quite a few friends who are on Suboxone, and they want off because they feel, because they are still on Suboxone, that they are not clean and they're being judged. And, you know, originally Suboxone was only supposed to be a few weeks and you taper off and you're well on your way. Now these doctors are prescribing people on Suboxone annually, you know, for a long period of time, and they don't know how to get off. And they go to the doctor, like Giuseppe said, these are trained professionals, and that's what they know. Okay, I'm going to trust my doctor. You know, so how do we do that? And part of this Empower to Recover, you know, maybe we'd love to invite Dr. Bonnie Henry to come down and answer some of these questions and make sure that the news is aware that she's been invited, so that when she doesn't show up, you know, there's some answers that she's going to have to, you know, face up to. Right?
Yeah, that's, you said the great words too. I mean, we got to build recovery capital, and the recovery capital is not about being clean and sober. Recovery capital is all about better health. Yeah, you don't want to build recovery capital. You want to do, you know, whatever. Yeah, stay on medications. Like, you have that free will to do that, but you know, there's an opportunity here that I know personally, like you, people that are like, I need to get off Suboxone and my doctor won't. And you put that on Twitter and people don't believe you. And it's just like, why is our stories not appreciated? Like, people actually, like, I'm going to kill myself if I stay on this medication. And there's no deprescribing regulations out there. It's a crime. I mean, it's if you want to get off of a benzo, there's a deprescribing procedure that's actually legit. This is how you know, get off of a benzo. But Suboxone, there isn't one. And I asked myself, like, why isn't there one? If you're rich, there's a difference. If you're rich, you can go to a private treatment center and taper off your medications because you can pay a doctor to taper you with cash. If you're poor, you ain't gonna find a doctor that's gonna do that. There's too much liability, and that's the dirty secret that goes on in this country. And thankfully, some of my friends have been able to pay for it, and now they're not on it anymore. And not if you're on it, I'm not saying don't be on it. We're not saying you need to get off of it. We're saying that there's some people that live life productive being on medications. That's great for you, but some people want to get off of it, and it's really disgusting that they can't unless they have private money. But I don't hear any harm reduction people at the top of a mountain singing, saying, hey, you know what, we have a right to do drugs, and we also have a right to get off of drugs. It's always we have a right to stay on them, and the government pays for it. So there's this disunity amongst our camps, and the thing is, the harm reduction camp has been very powerful. The recovery camp has been very quiet in the cloaks of anonymity. And, I don't want to tell anybody about my story. So I want to applaud you all for joining the Recovery Out Loud and being part of that. And the more of us that, and I'm not saying talk about your step forward, 12-step programs and AA and NA, like that's not what we're saying. We're saying that recovery, how you recover, is an option, and we'll do that out loud. And so if you have a chance, go to hyperecoverycoach.com, learn about that. Stay tuned to Facebook pages and Facebook conversations. You have a hashtag as well, which is, remind me, your hashtag.
Empower to Recover.
And TJ, I wanted to ask you, you're on the Sunshine Coast?
Yeah, that's correct.
So lots of people need help out there. What's the name of your center, and how can people get connected to that?
So Coastal Recovery Community, if they go to coastalrecoverycommunity.com, and they can get in touch with me then. And if I'm full, I do have other resources I could send people. I have sent quite a few people to you guys also. So we just all got to band together. And one final thing, we recover loud so others don't have to suffer in silence. That's kind of our main thing. And, I was very shocked also to hear some of these other treatment centers, recovery houses get harm reduction grants, and they're actually keeping their clients on, Suboxone. So there's many things that need to be changed.
You just opened up a big can of worms right before the show. So yeah, that is, so just so you know.
Provide people with dignity. You're on your own. Provide people with,
it's called the SUAP grant. It's like, we're talking millions and millions of dollars. If you have a harm reduction service, pretty much like, here's your grant. We're talking $2 million, $3 million. Smoke inhalation rooms, here's $2 million. Oh, you want to give people, fentanyl powder? Here's $2 million. Oh, you want to help people get clean? Sorry, you're off the list. We've applied 4 times. We went to Ottawa, yelled at them saying, how can we always get, we're going to do it. What's going on here? And they told us recovery is not the mandate of the federal government. Only harm reduction is. We've talked about it lots on this show. We've told the world, and it still is.
Well, maybe the hope is with Alexander that she's in the, I'm going to pull the you're in the government card here.
Yeah.
With you in recovery, and as loud as you are, and the people inside of government, that's why I brought you on board with us, and I love you because you're loud. But you are in the government to help us make a change with this. I know I just put some pressure on you, but
yeah,
it has to happen. It really does.
I think it goes back to being the change you want to see, right? And I'm very vocal and open about my, don't think I'm not wearing all my, at work all day long. I wear my triangle earrings, I wear my medallion. And it causes that, as I'm sitting in meeting rooms and as I'm sitting, it starts that dialogue, and it starts breaking that barrier, and it starts breaking the silence, because I am so open about it. So, being the change it is you want to see, that's what we're going to be doing with this, bringing our lived experience. We just got to get louder than loud, we're not loud enough. But yeah,
So the next move for us is really, we're going to roll out a sponsorship package, because we need to get sponsors on board with Empower to Recover to actually make the first event happen in Vancouver. Yes, we've picked 9 different places, but we want to focus on Vancouver first to make that happen. We have got three not-for-profits. TJ's not-for-profit, Mike's not-for-profit, and Alexander's not-for-profit attached to Empower to Recover. So we are going to be looking for sponsors. We're going to have sponsorship packages for people to get involved in this. We're going to have vendor spots for people to get involved in this. This isn't a one and done with us. There's never a one and done with me. Like, until I'm under the ground, maybe I'm still going to be moving if I'm under the ground, but there's never a one and done, right? This is one, and we want to get into the US. We need to do these live tours to show people. Like, I want to go to Whitehorse. I want to go to Whitehorse because there's a lot of, like, and I have people that are in another thing with us, Team Recovery Global, which is our nutrition arm, that are in Whitehorse, and they're saying, Jay, can you please come here? We're losing people every day. Can you please come here, Jay? Can you please come here, Jay? You know, we got places all across.
We're in an addiction crisis. I mean, that's the, you know, we're in a homeless crisis, but really, you know, sadly, we're in an addiction crisis, and it's not getting the attention it should. So we got a couple minutes left. Brooke, you got lots of, what's your handles? How can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, absolutely. You can reach me at Brooke Raydell or at Sober Biz Babe on most social media platforms. I'd love to get in touch if you are a person in recovery that wants to launch a business. I help you brand, get your website launched, get books together, lots of media, fun, techie stuff that I love to do.
Awesome. Alex, what's your handles? How does one get in touch with you?
You can get in touch with me at Sober Active Canada on Instagram. That's the only place I'm active on. And that's a national nonprofit recovery-based community for those addicted to bettering themselves. So bringing the whole recovery lifestyle management approach, so integrating fitness and nutrition into your recovery to ensure long-term success. I think you hit on it well, right? It's not about abstinence. It's absolutely about improving our health and our wellness, thereby improving our quality of lives. So.
Mike, how about your handles? How do we get in touch with you?
So you can find me on most social platforms: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, at Official Recovery Mike. You can also Google Mike Gleam, Gliem, M as in Mary. You can find links there for my book, as well as recoveryarmyoutreach.com is my nonprofit website to see what we do. So you can pretty much find me those places, and you can come up. You can actually look forward to see some public speeches and stuff also on some pretty big YouTube channels and stuff as well. So I get a chance to be able to be some inspirational speak on on a professional level. So
awesome.
Truly blessed.
Thanks, Mike. And TJ, remind us, what's your website again?
coastrecoverycommunity.com. You can find me on all platforms too, Coast Recovery Community. And I just launched a sober clothing line that all proceeds go to my treatment center. It's therapythreads.ca. So any of those.
Oh, sweet.
Check it out.
Sweet. Jay, we got 1 minute left.
Yeah. So you can get me at www.hyperrecoverycoach.com. Anywhere on any social platform, you're going to find me because I'm as loud as you can possibly be loud. So if you're not hearing me, I don't really know what's going on with you. But right. That's where you'll find everything we're doing.
Okay.
And www.empowertorecover.com is where you're going to find our website. Please get involved. Please, we need help to make this happen so we can save more people's lives. And that's just the truth.
All right. More people doing the Recovery Out Loud, the better. I invite all of you to Recovery Day, which is on September 10th in New West. It's our 10th anniversary. COVID kind of like stalled a bit of our loud messaging. We still did some events, but not the same. But we're back to being in person. Everybody out there, September 10th. So I hope to see you all there, maybe setting up a booth too, getting people to know more about you. So that's on September 10th. Darren, always good to see you.
Always a pleasure.
Yes, awesome. You're listening to Talk Recovery Radio, powered by New West Recovery on Vancouver Co-op Radio, 100.5 FM. Don't forget, they'll take donations, so go to coopradio.org. Thanks for them, and you can follow up on all our shows, in the links if you're watching this on Facebook. Thanks, everybody. Good luck with all your adventures, and looking forward to seeing you all in person one day. Take care, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care.